My name is Carew. I'm a men's coach that helps men improve their sex life and their relationships through an embodied approach. And today, what I'm going to be talking about is the Embodied Lover archetype, what that archetype is, why it's so important for men to understand it in their journey of masculinity and being a man, and the two shadow aspects that show up in a man's journey in embodying this state of lovership, and how this can cause deep turmoil, sabotage within relationship, how it can cause a lot of pain and struggle in a man's journey, how these archetypes show up, how these two shadow aspects show up, and what a man can do really to address this in his life. So, I've got a few notes here. You're going to notice me looking down sometimes because I want to get some points across to you. I want you to consider this video a transmission of energy. So when you're listening, hopefully you can be as present as possible. In fact, I'm asking you to be as present as possible. In a moment here, I'm going to get you to drop in with some breath. But if you're doing a bunch of different things right now, that's probably not the best time to watch this video. You want to be either seated, present with yourself, able to feel your body, or if you prefer walking around and listening to things, make sure you're not in an area where it's like super distracted, super loud. Just make sure you can stay connected to your breath, and most importantly, stay connected to how you feel as you watch or listen to this video. So let's drop in here a little bit, inviting you to close your eyes, or if you're walking, just tuning in. We're going to take a couple deep breaths together, okay? So inviting you to exhale out all your air. Take a nice deep breath in with me. Exhale, let it go with a sigh. Nice. Another deep breath in. Let it go. Okay, last deep breath. Hold it at the top. Hold it. Feel that charge for a moment. Feel yourself expansive. And just let it go. Keep your eyes closed or just feel into this moment. Don't rush to the next thing. When you're ready, open your eyes. All right, let's jump into it. So, the embodied lover and its shadows. If you've ever felt numb in your relationships in life, or just numb in life, disconnected as a man, or like your desires have turned against you, you've lost yourself in that, this video is for you. What I'm about to go over is for you, and this paradigm will help you. Really encourage you to watch to the end of the video because I have a beautiful offering for you that can deepen you into this work. Also, nearing the end of the video, I go into a really important concept about the shadow aspects and the relationship to them that can be really, really mind-blowing, and why these things happen in your life as a man, and how to address that. So getting to the end of this video is really, really important. Don't miss that. So as I mentioned, we're going to dive into this archetype, the embodied lover. Its two shadow aspects and how those shadow aspects sabotage men, the impotent lover and the addicted lover. I'll also show you how these shadow patterns are connected, what's the connection between them, and what you can do to reclaim your power in your journey as a man. In this modern era where there's so many distractions, so much taking us away from our power. Let's start off with defining the embodied lover. What is it? So the lover, this embodied state of the lover, it is your connection to life itself, okay? It is your sensuality, it's your beauty of life, it's the depth that you have, your devotion, your emotions, and your presence. The embodied lover, it's rooted in the body, in your felt sense, in your sensations. And when a man is embodied in his lover, he feels fully, he loves fully, and he expresses himself fully. He's full in all that he is. He is present with both the pleasure in his life and the pain. And he can tolerate all this sensation. He's sensitive to life. He can tolerate it without becoming enslaved by the pleasure or the pain. He's not trapped by it. In fact, he's empowered by it. So to summarize that, the man who is embodied in his lover, in that balanced lovership with life, he doesn't just pursue beauty. He becomes it. He becomes a living expression of it. He doesn't just grasp at things. He's a living example. And through presence, he becomes the medicine in his relationships that he craves. So the potency here is through the lover, he becomes all those things that he's grasping for in life. He becomes that living heartbeat. Let's move on. Why this archetype is essential, foundational, so important for men. Our world really praises the thinking mind, the mental mind, and suppressing emotions and feelings for men, right? We're trained to suppress our emotions, to be hard, to be tough, to cut ourselves off from that flow. At least that has been the narrative for quite some time. And now there's this emergence, actually, of men being more heart-opened, connecting to their emotions, expressing themselves. All these spiritual men, which is great. But the the negative side of that is that man is totally unrooted. So why it's essential for men to not just understand the embodied lover, but actually embody it, to live it, is so that he is balanced in himself, so that he's not cut off from his emotions, and so that he's not just flailing around up in the air in his higher chakras and going to ecstatic dance every 2 seconds. Without this archetype, men become emotionally flat, sexually dysfunctional. Okay, so if you're suffering with sexual dysfunction, you're not having the sex you want, this is really key. Or these types of men who are disconnected in this way are desperately compulsive. So the lover is a bridge. It's a bridge to your soul. It's a bridge to your essence and to your core as a man. And to your life force, which is the energy that's animating you. That is what the embodied lover is all about. And that's why it's so important, because it bridges you to that. Everything you experience outside of your life, in the outside world, anything outside of you, beautiful as it may seem, there's nothing as pure and as potent as what you experience inside. And those are just words. You have to experience that for yourself. But that is what the embodied lover is resourced from, and that's why it's so important that men go through a path of understanding that and feeling that for themselves, so they're connected to something that is beyond anything in the outside world, from your own inner authority, your own inner God. Let's move on. What is the embodied lover, or what does the embodied lover look like in a man's life? So this is how you can tell that you're stepping into this. You're doing the work and it's showing up in your life. These are the signs. This is how it rises. Number 1, emotionally available but not overwhelmed. Right? You're available to your own emotions, to experiencing the spectrum of them, but you're not overwhelmed by them. You're able to be sensual with life. You're able to feel the sensation, the juiciness, the yumminess of life, and stay grounded, not get lost in that sea of sensation. You can experience intense pleasure without becoming addicted to the pleasure. And you know that this is being brought in your life, or that you're embodying this when you're able to bring a depth of aliveness to your sex, to your creativity, to your touch, to how you are as a father, to your partnership. You're able to bring a depth and aliveness to every aspect of your life. A level of presence, a level of energy that is hard to really speak to. It's something that's felt. So what the embodied lover looks like in a man's life is, he can hold tears, he can make love, and he can feel a deep sense of awe, all in the same breath. Let's move on. Now we're going to go into the shadow aspects of the embodied lover. Now that we've defined it, you have an idea of how it shows up in your life, and if you're in that path. This is what happens when the embodied lover moves into its shadow aspect, its unhealthy aspects. First shadow aspect, we have the impotent lover, okay? This is when a man becomes shut down. He's emotionally numb, sexually collapsed. It's a retraction. It's a pulling away from life. It's being cut off. It's not just physically impotent. It's not just not being able to have an erection. It's that you're retracted and you're cut off, shut down. When you're in this state of impotence, a man will often be disconnected from his body, afraid of intimacy, and ashamed of his desires. Intimacy can only be found in the present moment, so a lot of rumination, stuck in past thought, worried about the future, and ashamed of his natural desires, ashamed of his sex, ashamed of what he desires in life, whether that's from parents, whether that's from religion, whatever indoctrination, whatever programming has left him in a state of shame. So he's going to show up with low libido. He's going to have an inability to really deeply connect with his partners, or his romantic partners. And there's just an overall disinterest in life. When you're impotent, there's just this low effect and this apathy. So apathy is a deep part of the impotent lover. The roots of this, how you really know if you're in this space right now, if you're dealing with a lot of shame, if you're repressed, if you feel repressed in your life, and you are emotionally neglecting yourself, or just emotional neglect, you're avoiding your own emotions, and there's a suppression there. So that gives you a sense of the impotent lover, and you don't have to be drowning in any of those aspects, but the impotency can show up in a sprinkle, it can show up in a wave, but notice where in your life is there shame, repression, emotional neglect. That is the impotent lover showing up in your life. And it's not to be avoided. You don't need to I need to avoid this aspect of myself. You need to see it. You need to have a relationship with it if you're to integrate it. Let's move on to the next shadow, the addicted lover. So this aspect of the shadow of the lover archetype, this addicted lover, it's obsessed with sensation, okay? Porn, affairs, many sexual interactions, validation, love bombing. It just wants more and more and more and more. It's not just substance. It could be work. It could be fitness. It could be so many things in life that give stimulation. There is a reaching out, So whereas the impotent lover is retracted, the addicted lover is just, I want more. How can I get more? Okay. The addicted lover lives in a fantasy, lives in a drama, a perpetual drama, and uses sex, romance, stimulation of any kind to fill an emotional void, to fill a void inside. This is key. Never satisfied, always seeking the next hit of aliveness. What's going to give me that surge? Not able to resource it from himself. So the roots, emotional abandonment, unprocessed grief, loneliness. Abandoning your own ability to be with your emotions, to process those deep emotions, and because you're so alone, you're seeking some sort of stimulation to feel alive. So I'm glad you got to this point, because now we're going to go into a very important principle that ties both of these together. There's a principle called the principle of rhythm. It's an immutable law from the Hermetic principles. Maybe I'll dive into that in another video. But it basically describes that everything in our life, everything in this beautiful life that we're living, this universe, has a rhythm. What goes up must come down. What expands must contract. And there is a rhythm within these two shadow aspects. They are two sides of the same coin, and then they're kind of like a pendulum swing, okay? This is like the pendulum of addiction and collapse is how we could describe it. How I'm going to describe it right here and now. So these two shadows, they feed into each other. This is so important. This cycle that I'm about to explain to you. Addiction will drain your energy. It'll drain your life force eventually. That constant outsourcing. I need to outsource more stimulation instead of insourcing. That's going to deplete your energy. And then that's going to lead to a collapse, which is going to be a deep felt of impotence. That will trigger shame, grief, sadness. And if you're not able to process that, then you're going to go again into addiction to escape the feeling of grief, the feeling of impotence. So you can see how this circles around, sucking your life force from reaching outside of yourself to grasp at energy. The only real reusable and sustainable life force is that which is resourced within. Meditation, breath work, qigong, these types of practices. Of course, you can get energy from good food, from exercise. You need to do that, but the addicted lover is doing it too much to the point where it zaps the energy and it results in a collapse, that feeling of impotence, that feeling of retraction, and then there's a shame there, and that results in more addiction. So just like a pendulum, men can swing between access and emptiness. And when they don't learn to hold sensation and emotion, it just sways back and forth from this impotence and this addiction, impotence. So to summarize this, it's not that you're broken. It's that your nervous system was never shown how to hold power, to hold energy. Emotions are energy in motion. Most men have never been taught how to hold their kingdom. One of the things I see time and time again for men, and what I've faced in my life a lot, what has brought me to this deep passion, this deep drive to guide men and to bring myself into my most high state, is that our world gives way too many opportunities for men to disperse their energy, to not actually feel what it is to be a king. And a king is one that holds a kingdom. A king is one that holds his power. And part of holding your power is holding your emotions, moving your emotions, and having a relationship with them. And that brings me to the next section, the root cause. This is really, really important. Why are all these symptoms happening? Why are you coming into a state of impotence and a state of addiction? Why is your heart not always open to life? Why are you not emotionally regulated? Because you have unfelt emotions and you're emotionally dysregulated. So the root cause of all of this, why a man is not living in his embodied lover, where it's flowing, and because of unfelt emotion and emotional dysregulation. At the heart of both of these shadows is a fear of feeling fully. A fear of feeling fully. Let's just call a spade a spade. It sucks to feel really difficult emotions. And if you're never taught how to do that, there's probably a level of shame and guilt that you even have those emotions in the first place. Men have been conditioned. We have been conditioned as men to repress ourselves, our tears, our pleasure, our fear, our longing. Don't be too much, that it's dangerous. Maybe you actually were hurt or emotionally abused for expressing yourself in those ways. So of course it feels safer for you to repress it. So without emotional literacy, the ability to feel your emotions and work with your emotions, the lover archetype gets super distorted. And then these symptoms of the impotency and the addiction arise in your life. So the effect of all this, of this root cause, is relationships breakdown. You will continuously get into a rut. Erection issues, desire issues, sexual issues, addiction to porn, fantasy validation, addiction to many different types of things. Overall health deterioration over time, nervous system chaos, hormonal chaos and crashes, all arising from a misunderstanding and a misalignment with this lovership with life, with an embodied state of being in love with life, because of a lack of emotional literacy, dysregulated. Imagine your emotions like a river. They're not flowing. It's all clogged up. It's, the water needs to flow for it to be healthy, for you to be healthy. So to summarize this and to start to bring this video into a close, it's really important that you have a relationship to this part of yourself as a man, to not look at the impotence in your life and the addiction in your life as bad things. Don't need to push those away. You're not a bad person because of that. We all have that as men. It's part of our journey. But to relate to that and to recognize that and to work with that and to see those tendencies, those actions, when you turn to addiction, when you feel impotent, as an opportunity to deepen into yourself. And that's guiding you to your emotional work. If you don't know how to do that emotional work, this is something that I would like to invite you into, a call to action, a call to you to step into yourself in a deeper way. I have created a video course that's called Return to Your Power. It's about an hour long, and it has different videos that are for men who are losing themselves in their life, they're losing themselves in their relationship, or you've had one or many devastating breakups. The core essence of who you are feels as though it's collapsed. You've realized over time that you aren't able to regulate your emotions. You're people pleasing, you're avoidant, you're stuck in this cycle of impotence and addiction, and it's costing you your relationships. It's costing you a feeling of being really potent in your life, and you want that to change. So the invitation here is to make a small investment, take this video course, go through it, and then if you want to go a little bit deeper, as a small additional cost, I have somatic breathwork and guided practices that help you to learn how to emotionally regulate yourself, what it means to actually do that process for yourself, and to be your own resource, to return to your power. Because, brother, let me tell you, you are so powerful. We are incredibly powerful as men. And it's just this world, it's this environment that has taken that from us. That's not to blame. We don't need to blame. We don't need to make ourselves a victim. But we do need to take responsibility as men in our lives to heal ourselves, to come into our deepest state of power for ourselves first and foremost, but also for the world. The world needs healthy, integrated men who are in love with their life, who have a deep state of lovership with life. So regardless if you take the course or not, I hope this has been so helpful for you. I hope it's brought a level of inspiration. I hope it's impacted you in a positive way. And if you're a woman watching this, I hope this helps you to understand men in a deeper way in the journey that we're going through. And maybe you can share this with a man so that he can help him. You can help him deepen in his journey. Again, my name is Carew. If you'd like to receive more content like this to help you deepen in your journey as a man, or you want to learn how to live a more embodied life, click follow, subscribe, leave a comment. I love interacting, and I love hearing your feedback about this content. I'm wishing you a really blessed day. Truly sending you a prayer. I hope that you stay connected to the Almighty, the highest energy, and that you step forward in your life in the most beautiful way. Much love and peace.